Hello and welcome to another episode of the IDS Podcast, and I'm here this week with something a little unique for our podcast, John Thiessen from the John Thiessen Foundation. And there's many reasons why we wanted to have you on the podcast, and more specifically because of the project that IDS just worked on with you. And we'll get into that in a bit, but I think it's very important that we kind of talk a little bit about your story and tell a little bit about what you do here for the community on Long Island, and then we can get into how you got involved with IDS or how IDS got involved with you, right, and the recent project that we just completed with you. So before we get into that, take a minute or two just to introduce yourself, and then we'll get into it about your foundation.
So John Thiessen from the John Thiessen Children's Foundation, which is based right here in Wantor.
And if people want to, while they're listening, if they're on their computer, how can they look up your website?
So the website is jtcf.org. This is an organization that I had started in 1992. I had a brain tumor at 17 and was hospitalized in a children's hospital, Schneider's Children's Hospital, which was on Long Island. And unfortunately, I happened to be on the oncology floor because they didn't have any room on the surgical floor. And there were so many kids back then that were sick and it was so horrible for me. It was back in 1988, so it wasn't like today where kids often get cancer and it's just terrible. And I read a specific story on your About Us page on your website this girl Tasha. I had met a girl Tasha there who introduced herself the first day I was admitted. Came into my room and she was wearing pajamas and introduced herself. And the doctor said, "Tasha, you have to go now." And it was during the holiday times, during Christmas and Hanukkah and December, and Tasha came in constantly into my room, and she was a 7-year-old girl, and unfortunately she had no family support. She had a type of leukemia, and from what we found out would be dropped there for weeks at a time, and nobody would visit her. And I seen it for the week and a half that I was there, and little Tasha was she was so adorable. So they were having a holiday party where kids like Tasha were going to be able to go down and get gifts and feel like regular kids. And it was about 2 days after having 10-hour brain surgery myself, so I couldn't get out of bed. Not that I wanted to get gifts. And I was 17 years old, so it was awkward being in the children's wing. And she came into the room crying about 2 hours before the party was supposed to start. And my mom said, "Tasha, what's the matter? The kids, you're supposed to be excited. The kids are going to be getting presents and you're going to have fun." And she goes, "My family's not coming to take me, so I can't go." So I could hear this. I was kind of like in and out of it. And my mom said, "Tasha, I'll take you down." She goes, "John has to rest." And she goes, "What do you mean he can't come down? He can't get gifts like an innocent 7-year-old would." And she goes, "No, John, the doctors don't let him out of bed." So my mom took her down, and it spent about an hour or two down there during the party. And when it was Tasha's time, they were lining up kids to go get gifts. And when it was Tasha's time to go get a gift, they went to hand her this big teddy bear. And she says, "I don't want it for me. I want it for my friend upstairs to make him feel better." Wow. And that was me, and just unbelievable. I walked out of there, and I said, "I'm going to be back to help out kids like that." And I started a holiday toy drive in 92. And things just took off.
Tasha single-handedly gave you the inspiration to start what you do now.
Absolutely. Our logo symbolizes it's a girl with a teddy bear, and she was an angel to me. And unfortunately, I never seen Tasha again, never met her, but about 2 years ago, I had found out from a doctor who had retired that she had passed away about 2 years after I met her. Oof. So it was tough to hear. I mean, I was always holding out hope, but she's if I had known what the foundation would be today, then I would have probably named it after her. But our logo was a girl holding a teddy bear. So,
oh, cool. So this whole thing happened in 88, and 88. Then you were 17, and then
17
in 92, which is you were 21 at that time.
Yeah, so I had to go through. So I tried to finish my senior year of high school, and I had to go. The tumor came back, and I had to go through radiation. I was lucky because
this was all while you were in high school.
Yeah,
you didn't even graduate
it was during
yet.
my senior year. It was tough. I found out I had the brain tumor from headaches on September 28th of 88, and then tried to go to school, and the headaches got so bad I had lost partial sight in my left eye, and then had the surgery on December 9th of 88. Went to go back in February, and the tumor grew back. So I did 6 weeks of radiation, and it was always a benign tumor, but it was so nasty that it destroyed everything. Like I had to have 6-week constructive sinus surgeries, and it wasn't like your typical benign tumor. Like benign tumors you take out most of the time and they're gone. This one they took out and the cells grew back. So then it took me a couple of years. I had to go through a bunch of surgeries and stuff. And in 92, I actually used a typewriter and typed up a letter and canvassed the neighborhood saying I wanted to collect toys for kids during the holidays.
Literally like door to door?
Door to door. And got yelled at. Doors slammed on my face, just,
Maybe that was a precursor to your farmer job we'll talk about later. Subconsciously. Wow. So that's insane. That's an insane story to me, because it's also, I think about it, I was a kid at that time at 88, a little bit younger than you. I think I was about 7, probably about Tasha's age.
Tasha's age, yeah.
And to think even back in 88, it's like the medical procedures and the medicine they had then, it seems ancient to what they have now.
And unfortunately, as I mentioned earlier, I deal with it every day, and maybe I deal with it every day and see it, but it seems like every community has that child who has cancer, and it was never like this. And that's why back in 88, I knew one kid that had cancer, and I remember getting off the floor. And again, I was supposed to be on the surgical floor, and they had no room, so it was almost meant to be. And I walked out, and they had a bunch of rooms, and I saw all these kids, and it was just like so traumatizing for me. For years after, I would sit in my room and cry. I didn't understand.
So you were the oldest one?
I was the oldest one. I was actually walking up to the hospital, I remember, with my mom being like, why do I got to be with the kids? I'm 17 years old, and the first one that introduced herself was this little girl in pajamas wandering the floor, Tasha.
So it's come 92, you start knocking on doors.
Used to tape.
But you had no intention of creating a foundation at that point, did you? Or it was just, let me see what I can do?
It was more of a holiday toy drive to give back, and it was successful the first year we collected. And this is when toy drives didn't happen like they are now. I think businesses and a whole bunch of things different start, but so I started the drive the first year on my mom's front lawn, and in 2 weeks we collected 800 toys. Wow. And I thought that was wonderful. I said, that's amazing. And then come the next year, started making the signs early and whatnot. 2 weeks we collected, I think, 3,000 toys, and it just got bigger and bigger. And then I realized, like, these kids need more than toys. These kids need help. These kids have cancer, and the families are losing their homes. They're falling back on their mortgage bills. They're doing this, they're doing that. Kids don't have winter coats. So I started, trying to fundraise over the years, and early in, 94, 95, and started helping out kids year round on a much smaller level than we are now. And I come to just help out kids in any capacity possible, and I never wanted to limit it to one thing. And the foundation just grew over the years, but I was persistent with it. Now I was starting big. Now I wanted it to become a big foundation.
Well, kudos to you, because when I was in my low 20s, that wasn't the first thing. I was in college, and I'm looking to party, and you're looking to have a good time,
right?
And obviously you went through a different ordeal than I did, or most people did, but I guess it changes you, and it gives you perspective, different perspective.
Yeah, but a good one. But at the same time, I was so traumatized. What if the 22-year-old is thinking about kids dying every day and passing by hospitals and literally getting sick? My mom would hear me crying in my room because I would get, it hit me so hard. You hear about like people being on the front lines of war. I was like on the front line. I still to this day have that post-traumatic, and I still work with kids each day, on a one-on-one basis, and it's tough for me.
So at what point after you started doing these toy drives every holiday did you say, I think this can be a foundation? I think this is something where I can devote my life to?
95, so 3 years
you were in
after.
college, I'm assuming, at the time?
Not college,
no?
so I was still going through issues. So I had the surgery and radiation 89, and then it was followed by 5 reconstructive sinus surgeries. Big surgeries. In 90 and 95, I was in intensive care. I had pneumonia for a week. I wasn't good, and so I was working part-time for a local entertainment company, doing different parties and stuff. But I was reading books on nonprofit management, on grants, and how to start a nonprofit, even though we officially had become a nonprofit that year in 95. And I knew what I wanted to do, but I didn't realize that it would become like my full-time job, my full-time life. But that was just persistence and hard work. I had known other foundations that were working, and I wanted to, catch the concept of trying to do that, because I knew with how I felt, I could make such a difference in a kid's life. So it just got bigger and bigger, and I'd go into the city to a nonprofit management center and learn how to do grants and learn how to do management and learn how to become a real official foundation and put all my hard work into helping these kids.
95, so next year you have a big 30-year anniversary.
Yeah, well, no, it's actually we started in '92 was the toy drive. So so '92 is the toy drive. So
I guess when you're official on paper.
Yeah. So '92 is the toy drive. So actually coming up on this holiday season, we always do it by the holiday season. So coming up this November and December will be our 33rd annual holiday drive.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So
amazing.
When you decide to start this in the early mid 90s, was there other foundations on the island similar to this? Or?
Yeah, of course. Well, I don't know about similar. I mean, I'm sure like Make-A-Wish and all those nice groups. I don't focus on others. I focus on what my mission is. But I was working in pharmaceutical sales and medical sales for a company and doing well, but I would.
Yeah, I teased that. That's how you got your
your
door knocking.
It wasn't cold calling. I had my doctors were in Chicago, so I only had to travel once a year. But the good thing is I would talk to them over the phone, and I had been married. I got married, and I was doing really well with that. But I would leave there, and I would go to the nonprofit management center because I wanted to get grants on how to to help pay for a salary or help administration expenses. I mean, my budget was like $30,000 or $40,000 at that point. And it really started getting bigger in 2001 when I heard my first holiday gala over at Mulcahy's in Wantor, and we had a couple athletes, John Murray, who's the owner there, and he's good friends with Mike Francesa from the Fan, and Mike Francesa brought these athletes, and we ended up raising a ton of money for that event. It was like $100,000, and then it just steamrolled.
Well, what was the progression from, let's say, 95 when you officially registered to 2001 when you have that big event at Mulcahy's, which seems like it may or may not have been the turning point for the foundation?
It was. We had started a back to school program in August, which helps out kids with new backpacks. When we started getting them more money, we'd also give them gift cards to go to school to get new clothes with, because we would meet these kids and with the backpacks, and we noticed that they have no new shoes. I mean, literally their shoes are ripped. They have no jackets. They have one parent, I remember it hit me. She goes, my kid actually stays home the first week of school because he's too embarrassed because he doesn't have anything. The first week of school, the kids go back with new clothes, right? Yeah. So people don't think about this stuff, and so I started that, and then I just started bringing in more money, and people started believing in me, and Newsday or other places would cover the story, and it would just grow, and maybe my budget was like $75,000, but still not enough for any kind of salary or anything. I mean, I was laying out my own money for a while, a long time, and so I was working and paying for all the different expenses. I remember I got my first grant to get a computer. I didn't have a computer. My first file cabinet was right next to my kitchen in my apartment, and it just took off.
Cool. So it seems that event in 2001, you said?
2001
was a big turning point.
It was a big turning point. And then one of my friends, Billy, who's actually still the president of my board. I have a wonderful board. I have 9 board members who are just like me. They're driven and they're successful in what they do, and they're the group that keeps us going. And but he's like, John, you could do this. You could do this. And every year the gala got bigger. Then we started adding the casino night, and then
which we still do now, I think.
Which we still do now. Yeah, we still do in June. And in 2005, I got my first grant, which I had been applying for administration pay, and it was for $33,000 a year.
Wow.
And I didn't have an office or anything. It was the apartment or house we were living in. We had just bought a house, and I called my wife, who was a teacher in school, and she said, "Just do it, John." And I left. I walked into my manager and I said,
at the pharmaceutical company,
and she says, "I knew it." She goes, "I knew it. You always wanted to do it." And she goes, "Just do it." And she goes, "It's gonna be sad to lose you." And I cried for 2 weeks after that. I said, "What am I doing? I'm giving up a great salary. I'm giving up stocks. I'm giving up this." And I worked for a couple of years, $33,000 a year. And as soon as I left there, John Murray, the owner of Mulcahy's, gave me he had owned a house on Wantor Avenue, and he gave me the back part of it for my office. So we had a small little office, and things just steamrolled, and I just kept going. And I think within the 6 months of doing it full time, we raised We raised $300,000, an additional $300,000.
Yeah,
I was
well,
able
it's
to
different for any
dedicate
job
all
when
my
you're doing
time.
it full time.
Of course, I was able to dedicate all my time to it.
You know, they say when you have like any type of new business or a startup, if you're not in it 100% full time, you can't make that business successful because.
And nonprofits are tough. Nonprofits, like running a business itself, especially these days, is really hard. And running a nonprofit, when you have to, with the compliance, with audits. I mean, at this level, I have to get audited every year. I have to pay $10,000 a year to get audited.
Jeez.
But we're rated 100%. Like there's a unbiased rating website, Charity Navigator, which I always recommend anyone check out if they're going to donate to any foundation. Charity Navigator is wonderful, and if you have a budget of over 100,000, generally they rate you, and we're rated 100%, which is incredible. I bet that could change each year because of administration expenses and whatnot. But this is my life. This is my life, and I always say, I've been through 17 surgeries. I've had over 60 MRIs on my brain. I still take 7 to 10 meds a day because of the tumor and because of what it did. I've had a lot of stuff I've been through. And I always say, if I go back to that day, September 28th of 88, and if I found out that the headaches I had been having were just allergies, I wouldn't change it for the world. I am so blessed. I am so blessed to be doing what I'm doing.
No, it's incredible. So let's fast forward because obviously, we sort of talked about 2005, but we don't have to go over every year and how it progressed. So we're 20 years later from there, or a little over 30 years since you started this. Where have you grown in the 30 years? I know we're in a new place now, and we'll talk about that in a second, how this all came about. But what kind of programs are you running now? What are you doing for the community now?
So the foundation is John Thiessen Children's Foundation. When people say, what do we do? What's our mission? To help sick and underprivileged children any capacity possible. We do wishes. We help with medical expenses. We provide transportation to and from hospitals so the parents don't have to worry about going back and forth into the city. They can sit back and take care of their child. We have a pony therapy program. A lot of children with autism come, and it's incredible therapy. We do holiday drives. We do back to school programs. We don't limit it. The only thing we don't do is research, but everything else, we also do fundraisers. So if there's a kid that's sick in the community or a family that's in dire need and the community wants to run a fundraiser, unlike any other charities, they could come in to me. I sit down with them, set up an event, meet with them up to 10 times probably before the event, sponsor the event, do a live auction there, provide a lot of the items, guide them in their way, and raise money through that. And I think we've done probably over 100 to 120 of those events that all the funds have gotten filtered through my foundation and direct to these families, probably over $3-4 million. So I wake up every day and I think of a new way how we can help these kids. And there's always another way to be able to help. And I really try and I focus the kids in our area, because our area is across Long Island.
Throughout Long Island.
Long Island, into the boroughs a little bit, but I would say 95, 97% is the kids right in Long Island. Right now, own backyard. Mm-hmm. Every community has a child, whether it's that you don't, and I never judge anyone. I mean, I don't know what's going on behind their closed doors. I mean, I help with families where the parents have gotten killed in an accident. I've helped with families where, just terrible situations. Every day a new story comes across my desk.
So it's not necessarily just sick kids. It's anybody in need, any type of child.
Yes. And when I say need, it's bad. It's usually bad. Everyone is referred to as a social worker, a caseworker. If someone in the community reaches out to us and say there's someone in help, then generally there's a caseworker, whether it's through a school. The school social workers are wonderful. They usually know what's going on with the family, so they'll refer the kids and whatnot.
Interesting. All right, so now we're sitting in your office, but we're sitting in your new, what's the official name? The Family Fun Center?
The Family Fun Center.
Okay, so before we talk about this new space, did you have a space prior to this?
I did. We rented out on a storefront and it was perfect for us at the time. It was like 1,700 feet. And we
also here in
square
Wantagh?
feet. Yeah, right in Wantagh, right down the block. And we had that for 17, 18 years. And just... we're able to.
And you also were able to build events there, do events and
stuff
like that.
And it was like a mini family fun center. We had TVs on the walls. We have some arcade games, there's arts and crafts, and a wish room with toys on the shelves, but nothing like we're going to talk about. Nothing like my dream come true, what we were able to establish.
All right, so then while we're on that topic, let's talk about this new location and how IDS got involved in the whole project that IDS did for you. So, and that's how I met you and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
how did this whole space even come about? What's the whole concept behind saying to yourself, all right, we need to get out of this storefront. We need our own space.
I always wanted to start a building fund, but never had the means to it. So we would end each year with maybe $100,000 in the bank, and I knew that wouldn't get us a new building. And my board members and community members were like, my donors would be like, "You should start a building fund. You should start." And I said, I just don't have the money, and especially now. So a building opened up down the block from us where we are now, and it was an old doctor's office. I was actually a patient one time. It's a house, and it's a big house. It's 4,100 square feet, and that was during COVID time, just towards the end of 2020 that he put it up for sale. He is retiring. And Teresa Caputo, the Long Island medium, had did a fundraiser for us throughout the whole year. She's a good friend of mine, and raised $200,000 for us. Wow. Insane. And that money enabled us to put the down payment on this property. And after that, it just steamrolled. I started putting out sponsors and grants, and we put together something that's been a dream of mine since I started it, to have our own building.
So you bought this property that we're sitting on now. Did you knock the old property down, or this?
No, the old. You mean this old building?
Yeah, where we're sitting on.
Or took it down to the bare. I mean, we put everything we had into this property. We had to renovate the whole thing. Nothing had been done in 40 years, and it's just, I had the vision, and I just told the contractors and electrician and plumbers, all guys that have supported the foundation forever and did right by me. I told them exactly what I wanted, and we were able to build this whole thing. When you walk into the new Family Fun Center, you walk in, and the first room is an arcade room. Mm-hmm. We have 7 to 8 arcade games that kids love, the arcades that you would see in any of the arcade.
They're huge, places. Gigantic.
They're huge, yeah. And then to the right is our arts and crafts room, which the kids will be able to do all kinds of crafts there, from slime to sand art to this to that. And then just down on the other end of the room is a theater room with a 10-foot screen, 10 movie chairs that are theater chairs that go back, and it's just you go through, and then downstairs we have a wish room with toys on the shelves for the kids to come down year round.
It literally looks like a Toys R Us down there.
Looks like a Toys R Us, and this is where we'll host.
I don't even think Toys R Us is around anymore.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
I didn't say KB Toys.
Yeah, KB Toys. Now you're dating yourself.
Yeah.
So this is what the Family Fun Center is about. So I want kids, when they walk through the door, to forget about any issues any treatments, any problems they're going through, and they could just have fun here. We have candy stations, we have popcorn stations, cotton candy, and kids, we could do free birthday parties. Yeah. Free birthday parties for 20 kids. We just hangout time. You know, a lot of these kids can't be around a lot of crowds, so they can come here and hang out. And it's our office as well. But the 95% of it is the fun center for the kids.
Cool. So how did IDS get involved? Because IDS does a Pay It Forward project every year. And I guess this was the 2023 project, they decided to do your fun center, as the Pay It Forward project. So there are 4 designers through IDS, Estelle, Christine, Lisa, and Daphne, who all took part in this project. And I think essentially they designed the project from ground up.
They did. It was absolutely amazing. So Joe Calisi, I know him. He's a local business owner from Sights and Sounds, and
he's right here in Wantagh also.
Yeah, well, I think it's like Seaford, Wantagh,
right
Seaford.
On the border. Yeah.
So he knows me. He's been supporting me, him and his family. So he invited me to speak at the meeting. So I was
at that meeting.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, you remember?
Yeah, I was at the. It was at that warehouse in the furniture. Spot.
Yep. So I spoke there, and then they contacted me. I think Estelle did first, and then Christine, Daphne, Lisa, and I mean, they came in when the place was it had been, sheetrocked and all that and everything, and I was telling them, this is where I want this is what I want this is this, and I kind of gave them the ideas of the colors, and they just went from there. I mean, they're just incredible, absolutely amazing.
Cool. So what was it like? I mean, you have this vision, just to work with a designer like that, because you have a vision. Most of the time when you hire a designer, you have an idea of what you want, but there's no vision there. That's why you're hiring a designer. But you had this vision, and you said, all right, I want you to take my vision, what's going on in my head, and make this a reality.
They made it so easy for me, and I knew by talking to them, I could just put my whole trust into them. And they actually said, they go, you're like the easiest to work with, because I told them, they were bringing up ideas, and I was like, 100%, let's do it. And they brought in the different paints and stuff and the different colors and oh my God, they're just absolutely incredible. And they put the whole thing together. But I just put it in their hands. From the moment I met them, then I just knew that I put it in their hands and they would get it done. And it's really awesome.
Yeah, no, it's an incredible project, and it's incredible all around. I mean, I was brought in to photograph this project because they're submitting to the Pay It Forward for the IDS Designer of the Year Awards. And it's a really incredible space. I mean, you have everything here, anything I can imagine. You have the Jelly Belly wall stand, right, and ice cream and theaters and everything. It's just.
But it's amazing, like how they would see like the arts and crafts room. Say Daphne would see the arts and crafts room. And they go, we should put wallpaper over there. And I said, wallpaper. And Christine, Lisa, and I'd say, yeah, wallpaper. And I fine, no problem. Come into my
trust
office.
You.
Yeah, I trust you. And it's amazing how it came out. Like, it's so talented. I'm so blessed to be part of the IDS project and what they did for me, because there's no way we could have ever made it look like this without this support.
And everything, all the small, like even this artwork behind us.
And then they got people donated. Companies donated different things. They donated this artwork, and again, I think they know how I was, and they would bring things in and love it. Everything they brought to the table, I just loved.
Great, and it shows. The space looks great, especially that arcade room and that Nerf game. I might have to take, and I might have to play a little bit.
The Jurassic Park one is pretty big.
I will say though, to photograph the lights on those arcade games were quite a pain in the ass.
Yeah, I know.
But I kept having you turn them on and off, on and off.
That's another thing. You provided me with amazing photos. Your eye is great, so I'm able to get them on my website soon, and I'm going to share them through social media, because a lot of people, we had the grand opening, but we haven't really. It hasn't been out to the community yet. A lot of people seen. It took us over about a year and 2 months to put the whole thing together. Mm-hmm. From when we bought it November 4th, 2022, and like moved in a year later, but things were still going on.
And you just had your grand opening 2 weeks ago, and we're early May for reference, because I know this will release in a month or two. So
yes.
I guess the end of April you had your grand opening.
Yeah, cool. For the sponsors and donors, but not really for the community itself. But people have driven by, and I did the red outside. Like, people going, why the red? So the sides and back are sided white, but the red I did because I started on my mom's front lawn. It was a red house. It looked like a barn, and I did that in memory of her. She passed away in September 2020, and she was my rock. So I did that in memory of her.
Okay, and you got all the dinosaurs. So
the dinosaurs.
As you're driving by, the dinosaur, there's a knight, I think, or there's no knight, or
there's
a dragon. A dragon.
A dragon on the roof. A dragon on the roof. We have a T-Rex.
People will see it when they come by. And is this the type of place where, if someone's interested, even first off, maybe just checking out the location or finding out more, they can just walk on in? I mean,
absolutely.
The doors are just wide open all the time, every day.
And our website is just jtcf.org for John Thiessen Children's Foundation.org. And we accept volunteers. I mean, especially since we'll be doing a lot of parties and whatnot, we generally have like 5 to 6 volunteers doing, and the kids can be as young as 13 or 14 years old. It's like kind of like going back to we always have kids that work the party, the volunteer, and the parents are like, really? My 13-year-old can? I said, yeah, it's kind of like the Willy Wonka effect. Like, kids know other kids. They know what to do. I don't know how to play these games with them and whatnot. I don't want to deal with that, but yeah, it's amazing. It's a dream come true, and I'm so blessed that IDS, Lisa, Daphne, Christine, Estelle, they all put their hands in and made this place what it is today, and I'm just so blessed to have their support and your support and how you got involved, and it's great.
And I think even a lot of the donations from other companies, IDS members, and almost everything was donated. So it's incredible. It's incredible.
Absolutely.
Jukebox there.
Yeah, I can't even mention any of them because there are like so many. Like, we have a couch over here, like things I would have never even gotten. Like, I don't need a couch in my office. I'm thinking about closing it halfway and making more arcade game space.
All right, look. Oh, you take a little afternoon nap.
Yeah.
A little siesta. Cool. So as we wrap up, if people are interested in either donating, finding out more information, if they need to utilize the services you offer, if they want to just come in and take a look and see what was done, not only by IDS, but what you've been doing for the last however many years, give us the full rundown. How can people donate? Sure. How can people find out about you? How can people find out if they want to volunteer?
Right, so we're right smack in the middle of Wantor, which is in Nassau County, and we're 1492 Wantor Avenue. Again, the foundation is John Thiessen Children's Foundation. Phone number is 516-679-TOYS. That's 8697 in case you don't feel like spelling out toys. The website is jtcf.org. They can email me too, John, John, at jtcf.org.
Cool. And you don't have to donate just financially. Can people donate toys and all that other
Absolutely.
stuff?
We accept anything new from infant to 17 years old year round. Our holiday toy drive, which happens during the holidays, where we really started, our bread and butter, collects and distributes over 130,000 gifts each year, holiday season.
Insane. I mean, I remember when I came in to shoot the space, I guess it was early April, you still had bags of toys downstairs that had yet to be delivered.
Absolutely.
So it's nonstop.
We just had a group pickup for 400 teens last week, so it's year round.
Yeah, it's funny. I didn't think of it. I have 3 little kids at home, and I have a closet full of unopened toys that I keep telling my wife we just got to get rid of. So
kids often get things for holidays or birthdays that they're really not into. We'll take it.
Yeah,
as long as it's new, we'll take it. Because
cool.
that what might not be fitting for your child would make a huge difference for some kid in the hospital or shelter who would have nothing otherwise.
Sure. And you're on social media, so if anybody wants to follow, you're on Instagram, I think, right?
Instagram, John Thiessen Children's Foundation, and on Facebook, I do most of it under just my name, John Thiessen.
So they can find out more information.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, cool. So it was a pleasure speaking to you,
finding out a little
bit more about your story and your background and I guess your inspiration to start this and to devote your life to the good work that you do here. It's incredible.
It's the community. It's everyone who supports us that really makes it. I'm just the one who put it down here, but it's everyone who supports the foundation that makes it possible. I couldn't have done it without them, and everyone who believes in me. And I have people that still donate from year one. So it's pretty cool. It's amazing. I'm blessed to have that support.
All right, amazing. Well, I hope these 30 minutes that we're on will help spread the word, at least to the design community on Long Island, about what's going on over here. So,
yeah, thank you, IDS, appreciate it. Christine, unbelievable. Estelle, unbelievable. Lisa, unbelievable. Daphne, unbelievable. They all did their part and just made it all come true. Just incredible.
All right. Well, thanks again, John.
Thank you so much.